Have you ever wondered what heaven truly looks like? Not the vague pictures of clouds and harps, but the vision described in one of the most mysterious and ancient writings in history. The Book of Enoch, a text revered by early believers and even referenced in the Bible itself, pulls back the curtain on a realm that defies imagination. It is not the heaven of simple paintings. It is layered, structured, and alive with light, judgment, and mystery. When Enoch was taken up in visions, he described heavens stacked one upon another, each realm unlike the last. The first heaven was already overwhelming, a vast expanse filled with cosmic winds, celestial waters, and guardians of creation. Yet this was only the beginning. Enoch was led higher through the gates of the second, third, fourth, and beyond. Each step revealed deeper secrets, forces shaping the destiny of both men and angels. In the third heaven, he saw the place where the souls of the righteous were kept, a paradise filled with trees that glowed with eternal life, their fruit shining like fire, yet tasting of sweetness. But not far from this radiant garden, there was also a dreadful place, a pit where souls awaited judgment, crying out for justice. Heaven was not only beauty, it was also order, a balance between mercy and judgment, joy and sorrow, light and shadow. As Enoch ascended further, the visions grew stranger. He entered chambers where angelic hosts stood in ranks beyond counting, their faces shining like flames, their voices roaring like thunder as they sang to the Almighty. There were archangels who commanded legions, guardians who never closed their eyes, watchers who recorded the deeds of humanity in books sealed with perfection. Nothing escaped them. Every word, every hidden thought was written down in records that Enoch saw stacked before the throne. But what startled Enoch most was the vastness of the cosmos within heaven itself. He saw cosmic storehouses, places where the winds were kept, where the snow and hail slept until the time they would be unleashed on earth, where the fiery elements waited for the day of judgment. Heaven was not static. It was alive with motion, purpose, and design. The stars themselves were like living beings, each placed in a path, each obeying a command, each glowing with the light given by God. Then came the seventh heaven. Here Enoch was shown what few mortals had ever seen, the armies of light, the highest hosts, the fiery seraphim who moved like living flames, and the cherubim whose wings covered realms. Their chants shook the very foundation of creation, and their presence burned with unbearable brightness. Yet even here, the sense was not chaos, but harmony. Every angel had a task, every song had a place, every beam of light had meaning. In the eighth heaven, Enoch understood something profound. He was shown that human wisdom, however great, was only a spark compared to the eternal wisdom of God. He saw time itself, not as past, present, and future, but as one complete tapestry, woven together by the Creator's hand. To God, nothing is random. Every life, every choice, every silence is part of a design more vast than the stars. And as Enoch absorbed this revelation, he was lifted higher still. In the ninth heaven, he was engulfed in a light beyond description. It was not sunlight, nor the radiance of stars. It was a pure luminosity that emanated directly from the glory of God. In this realm, there were countless books, heavenly records guarded by angelic scribes, each detail of human history written with perfect clarity. The hidden motives of the heart, the whispers no one else hears, even the thoughts we never speak, every one of them was preserved. The weight of eternity rested on these records. And then the 10th heaven. Here Enoch was brought before the throne itself. The throne of the great glory was surrounded by rivers of fire, and yet it radiated peace. It was here that Enoch beheld the Ancient of Days, the one who holds all creation. Around the throne, myriads of angels stood in endless ranks, bowing, singing, declaring holiness without pause. From this throne, the universe itself was governed, judgments issued, destinies written, and mercy poured out. But even beyond the throne, Enoch was shown secrets of the sun, moon, and stars, their paths across the sky, the gates they entered at dawn and dusk, the precise order God had established in the heavens. He saw that nothing in creation was accidental. The stars kept their courses like obedient servants. The moon reflected its phases with precision. The sun moved in cycles that determined seasons, times, and years. All of it was connected to the divine law, and to break that order was to invite chaos. Heaven, according to Enoch, was not merely a place of rest for the righteous. It was the very control room of the cosmos, where angels managed the forces of creation, where divine wisdom shaped the destiny of nations, where light and judgment poured forth. It was a place of unimaginable beauty, but also of unimaginable power. And the higher Enoch was taken, the more he realized that everything he saw was only a glimpse of the infinite. Now imagine what it means that such a book existed among early believers, shaping their view of heaven and earth. Imagine what it means that fragments of this vision survived thousands of years, buried in caves, preserved in ancient languages, and rediscovered only recently. What if heaven truly is layered, structured, filled with mysteries waiting to be revealed? What if the visions of Enoch were not myths, but glimpses into a reality beyond the reach of telescopes and science? And so the journey continues. Each vision opens the door to another. Each revelation leads deeper into the unseen. And Enoch's experience is not merely for curiosity, it is a message, a warning, and an invitation for us today. For if heaven is this vast, this ordered, this filled with glory, what does it mean for the lives we live here and now? As Enoch's vision unfolded, he was not only shown the structure of heaven, but also the mysteries of the angels themselves. He encountered beings of astonishing power, archangels whose very names carried meaning. Michael, the great warrior, standing as the protector of Israel and the shield against darkness. Raphael, the healer, who carried within his presence remedies for both body and spirit. Gabriel, the messenger of divine decrees whose voice shook kingdoms. And Uriel, the keeper of knowledge, who guided Enoch through mysteries too vast for mortal comprehension. But beyond these great ones were hosts of angels with specific tasks. Some were watchers over the stars, ensuring the cosmos stayed in its proper course. Others guarded the waters, keeping rivers within their boundaries and the seas within their shores. Still others recorded human lives, tirelessly writing into books that would be opened on the day of judgment. The universe, as Enoch saw it, was not left to chance. Every angel had an assignment. Every movement in creation was supervised by celestial guardians. Enoch also witnessed the prison chambers where rebellious angels were held, those who abandoned their divine posts to descend to earth. These were the watchers who had corrupted humankind with forbidden knowledge. They were bound in deep, dark places, waiting for the day of their final judgment. Enoch heard their cries, their pleas for mercy, their desperate petitions, but he was told their fate was sealed. Heaven was not only a place of worship, it was also a place of justice, where order was enforced against chaos. And then came the vision of the luminaries, the great heavenly bodies that marked time and seasons. Enoch was shown that the sun traveled not randomly, but through precise heavenly gates, rising and setting according to divine law. He saw that the moon had its own appointed path, reflecting light in cycles that measured months. He saw stars of varying brightness, each assigned to its course. The constellations were not mere patterns of chance, but signs placed in the sky as part of God's design. The heavens were a vast clock, ticking with perfect rhythm, but the vision did not stop there. Enoch was also shown the secret places where the souls of men awaited their destiny. He described chambers carved into the depths of creation, divided into places of peace and places of sorrow, The righteous were comforted in shining abodes, their hope unshaken as they waited for resurrection. The wicked, by contrast, were held in places of torment, knowing what awaited them, yet unable to escape. It was a glimpse of the afterlife, unlike anything spoken openly in his time, a structured waiting, a divine holding ground until the great day when all would be judged. Enoch was then led to the tree of life itself, a towering wonder unlike any tree on earth. Its fragrance filled the air, sweet and overwhelming, and its branches glowed with golden fire. This tree was guarded by holy ones, for it was not yet given to man. Its fruit was reserved for the righteous in the age to come, for those who would inherit eternal life. To see it was to glimpse the promise of restoration, the reward that lay beyond suffering and death. But there was more. Enoch saw rivers of fire flowing from the throne, carrying judgment into the cosmos. He saw places where the spirits of natural forces dwelled, spirits of lightning, spirits of thunder, spirits of snow and hail, all waiting for their appointed times. He was told that these forces obeyed commands like soldiers, held in storehouses until they were released upon the earth. What men thought of as random weather, storms, and disasters were not random at all, but part of a vast orchestration. Even the mountains and seas were shown to Enoch with new eyes. He saw the corners of the earth, the boundaries set by the Almighty, where the foundations of creation were anchored. He learned that the ocean depths were filled with mysteries, creatures and powers unknown to mankind. He saw winds that circled the globe, carrying life and destruction alike. To Enoch, the earth was no longer ordinary ground. It was a carefully designed masterpiece, connected directly to the heavens above. In one of the most breathtaking moments, Enoch was shown the throne of the Son of Man, a figure clothed in radiant glory, sitting beside the Ancient of Days. This was the Messiah, the chosen one who would one day judge both angels and men. Enoch saw that all power and dominion would be given to him, and that every knee, heavenly and earthly, would bow before him. It was a revelation centuries before the New Testament, a glimpse of Christ's heavenly role, long before he walked the earth. And still, the visions deepened. Enoch was taken to places where fiery beings guarded gates between dimensions, preventing access to realms not meant for mankind. He saw celestial tablets where the destinies of nations were inscribed, prophecies that stretched across ages, secrets of kings and empires not yet born. The angels showed him the end of the age, the gathering of the righteous, the overthrow of the wicked, the renewal of creation itself. Heaven, as Enoch saw it, was not a static paradise, but the center of history, the heart of time itself. Imagine hearing all of this in an age when people still gazed at the sky with wonder, not knowing how vast the universe was. Imagine trying to describe in human words things that transcended human language, light that was alive, sound that was fire, books that contained eternity. Enoch was struggling to put into words visions that stretched beyond human imagination. And yet, those words have survived, whispering across millennia, daring us to look at heaven not as a distant dream, but as a reality pulsing with order, glory, and justice. And as Enoch continued his journey, he was shown mysteries that go even further, secrets of creation, revelations of time, and glimpses into the end of all things. Enoch's journey did not only reveal the heights of heaven, but also the intricate order that stretched across realms unseen by human eyes. He was shown that every creature, every spirit, every star had a purpose designed by the Creator. There were angels set over nations, angels over rivers, angels over storms, and even angels who governed the cycles of birth and death. To Enoch, it became clear that nothing in creation was without stewardship. Every corner of the cosmos was supervised by a servant of light. Among the most astonishing revelations were the places where secrets of nature were stored. Enoch was taken to the chambers of the winds, vast halls filled with rushing currents, where the four winds of the earth rested until their appointed times. He was led to the reservoirs of the deep, where waters churned in silence, waiting for the command to rise as floods or to descend as gentle rains. He saw vaults of fire where lightning slept, chained until it was loosed across the skies. He saw cosmic treasuries where dew and frost were guarded, each crystal marked with divine order. But even more mysterious were the watchers assigned over human history itself. Enoch was told that angels recorded the rise and fall of kings, the victories of armies, the deeds of prophets, and even the whispers of conspiracies hidden in shadows. These records were not merely historical accounts. They were woven into the great story of heaven, showing how each generation fulfilled or resisted the will of the Creator. To the unknowing eye, human history looked chaotic. But to Enoch, it became a carefully measured story, every twist and turn foreseen by the author of time. And then came the vision of the great mountains of heaven. Enoch saw fiery peaks that blazed with eternal flame, mountains of crystal that shimmered like frozen lightning, mountains of metal shining like polished bronze and iron. These were not ordinary ranges, but symbolic foundations of creation, each one representing powers that upheld the world. Around them dwelled angelic hosts, guardians of strength and stability, ensuring that the earth did not collapse into chaos. Enoch was also shown the paths of the righteous in the afterlife. He saw garments of glory prepared for those who endured faithfully, robes woven with light itself. He saw crowns of eternal brilliance, not adorned with earthly jewels, but shining with the radiance of God's own glory. These rewards were not stored in vaults of gold, but in living treasuries guarded by angels, waiting to be bestowed when the age of judgment arrived. And what of the wicked? Enoch was led to places where the enemies of God were held in dreadful anticipation. He described pits of darkness where spirits wailed, not yet destroyed but restrained, awaiting their final sentence. He was told of kings and mighty men who once ruled with arrogance on earth, now reduced to trembling shadows, stripped of their glory. These visions reminded Enoch that power, wealth, and fame were illusions compared to the eternal realities that awaited beyond the grave. But perhaps the most awe-inspiring scenes were those that revealed the eternal worship of heaven. Enoch witnessed choirs of angels whose songs could not be contained in human words. He heard harmonies that resonated through creation itself, vibrations that made the stars tremble and the earth quake. These voices did not grow weary, nor did their song lose meaning. Day and night, without end, they declared the holiness of the One seated on the throne, filling the universe with a sound like living thunder. Enoch was then shown prophetic visions that reached far into the future. He saw generations yet unborn, nations that would rise and fall, empires that would stretch across continents only to crumble into dust. He was told that the angels of the nations guided and tested them, ensuring that justice would eventually prevail. But he also saw the end of days, when heaven itself would be unveiled before all mankind, when the books of judgment would be opened, and when the Son of Man would be revealed in glory. Yet even in these revelations, Enoch was reminded of the hidden mysteries too great for human language. There were things he saw that he was forbidden to speak, visions sealed away until their appointed time. This silence was as important as the words he recorded. It reminded him and us that heaven is infinite beyond comprehension and that God alone holds the fullness of its secrets. Still, Enoch continued to be led through halls of wonder. He was taken to the places where angelic weapons were stored, flaming swords, arrows of fire, and instruments of divine power, held in reserve for the great battles at the end of the age. He was shown cosmic armies prepared for war, ranks of shining ones whose armor glowed with lightning, standing in silence until the day of their calling. Heaven was not only a sanctuary, it was also an armory, ready to defend creation against rebellion and corruption. And then there were the mysteries of wisdom itself. Enoch encountered angelic scribes who preserved the knowledge of ages. They showed him tablets etched with divine writing, revealing laws of creation, hidden sciences, and heavenly mathematics by which the universe was measured. He was told that mankind was given only a fragment of this wisdom, just enough to govern life on earth, while the fullness remained locked in heaven. To look upon these records was to glimpse the mind of God, an ocean of knowledge with no shore. But beyond knowledge, beyond judgment, beyond order, Enoch encountered something deeper, the unending river of mercy that flowed from the throne. He saw that even as heaven prepared for justice, the Creator's heart was turned toward restoration. Angels were dispatched not only to punish, but to heal, not only to record, but to guide, not only to guard, but to rescue. For heaven was not merely the seat of authority, it was the wellspring of love that held the entire universe together. And so the vision stretched on. The higher Enoch was taken, the more he saw that heaven was infinite, a reality that could never be fully contained by words. And still he was shown yet more, mysteries of the stars, revelations of the end, glimpses of a glory that no eye has seen nor ear has heard. And so, after being taken through the heights of heaven, through visions of light and fire, through chambers of mystery and rivers of judgment, Enoch was returned with eyes that could never see the world the same way again. He had walked through the layers of creation's unseen order, from the storehouses of wind and hail to the fiery armies prepared for the end of days. He had stood before angelic scribes who guarded the books of destiny, and before the radiant throne from which the universe itself was governed. What did he learn? That heaven is not a vague dream of clouds and endless music, but a structured reality, alive with order and purpose. That every star, every mountain, every river flows according to divine command. That angels are not distant figures of myth, but living servants of God, tirelessly guarding, recording, guiding, and waiting for their appointed moments in history. He saw that human history is no accident. Nations rise and fall not by chance, but by a story written long before their time. Kings boast and empires crumble, yet all of them are measured by the scales of heaven. He was shown that nothing escapes the records of the Most High. Every word, every thought, every act of kindness or cruelty is written into the books that will one day be opened. But above all, Enoch learned that at the center of it all sits the Ancient of Days, clothed in glory, surrounded by fiery hosts. And beside him, the Son of Man, the Chosen One, who will one day inherit all authority and bring judgment and redemption. Heaven is not only a throne room of power, it is the heartbeat of love, the fountain of mercy, and the source of light that sustains creation. Enoch's visions remind us that the unseen world is far greater than the one we touch with our hands. The stars above are not silent. They sing of a Creator's order. The storms that shake the earth are not random. They are part of a design. The life we live is not forgotten. Every moment is woven into a tapestry only heaven can fully see. And so we end where Enoch began, not with final answers, but with awe. The Book of Enoch does not simply describe heaven. It dares us to imagine, to wonder, to believe that reality is deeper than we dream. It is a reminder that our lives are seen, our choices matter, and that the heavens above are not empty, but alive with glory, justice, and eternal hope. This is what heaven looks like according to the visions of Enoch, a realm of beauty and order, of fire and light, of angels and judgment, of mercy and eternal promise. And though his words reach us across thousands of years, they still invite us today to lift our eyes, to open our hearts, and to remember that we too are part of this eternal story.